What's happening, YouTube? In this video, we're gonna talk about answering what type of land is worth chasing. Keep watching. All right, so you are looking at a piece of land and you wanna know, is this piece of land worthwhile spending time on? Will there be a buyer for it? Maybe you've been talking to some homeowners, or maybe you've been talking to a seller and they have a piece of land and they're like, yeah, I'll sell this piece of land. And then you DM me and you're like, hey, I got this land in somewhere and I don't know if I can sell it, and how do I turn this into a wholesale deal? And cool. So I love that. Here's the things I want you to think about. First and foremost, land is one of two types. You're gonna have land that people will wanna build on, and then you're gonna have land that people are not gonna wanna build on, that may be rural or may be good for like a homestead. So how do you know the difference? Well, first and foremost, you have to look at what is surrounding the piece of land that you are looking at right now. Is it a lot of development? Are there big subdivisions there? Are there major arteries of traffic leading to and from that piece of land? If so, there's a good chance that builders may be interested in buying that land because they could do a development there. Now, don't get too excited, because just because you checked off those things doesn't mean you have land that's large enough or have the correct zoning density in order for a builder to want to still buy that. You can have land in the middle of the most amazing places in the city or in the place that you might live in, but if there's not enough land there, or if it's not zoned correctly, that could still be prohibitive for a builder to want to buy. So the first thing you want to make sure you're looking at is, are there developments nearby? What is the zoning? And what is the density that a builder could get on this piece of land given its size? Now, there's the other type of land, the land that's rural, or maybe you're out in the boonies and you just see this one plop of dirt and there's a for sale sign on it and you think there's a wholesale deal there, and there quite possibly could be. But that is not land that a builder will want to build on. You see, builders don't want to take unnecessary risks. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel or build the next Phoenix. They just want to attach to where there's already development happening, right? They like to ride the waves of development. They like to ride the waves of migration. They're not going to just decide to do a subdivision out in the middle of nowhere. So if you have a large piece of land out in the middle of nowhere, it might just be right for farmland. It might not be development land, and you have to be realistic with yourself when you are addressing that piece of land or you are evaluating that land for what it could be used for. I can't tell you how many DMs I get from people that say, hey, I have 160 acres of land in this part of Georgia that no one has ever been to, and the seller wants $5 million for it because Atlanta is so hot. Come on, right? Just because there's stuff happening in Atlanta doesn't mean this 160 acres that's 3.5 hours away from Atlanta is going to be worth anything. And I'm not saying that to burst your bubble, but I want you to be realistic with where you're spending your time. You see, one of the things that pushes a lot of wholesalers out of the business is they do a lot of work, they get really excited about a deal, and then that deal doesn't materialize into a check for them, and they quit. And I really don't want to see that happen to you. And that's why it's super important for you to be focused on where you're spending your time. Again, now let's go back to that piece of land that's out in the middle of nowhere. So we're looking at this large piece of land that's out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not saying that somebody won't want to buy it, but here's the people that probably would. Any neighboring houses that are near that land may be interested in purchasing this land that's out in the boonies because they may just not want anyone else to build near them. And that's typically the only reason why someone would want to buy it. Or it may be large enough for a farmer, but then again, if it's farmland, you want to be trading and talking to other farmers. And believe me, if a farmer is selling his land and there's other farmland nearby him and those farmers don't want it, it's a very good chance or a very good reasoning to think he's probably asking for way too much. You see, the people that are in that business already, that are nearby that land, they'll have a relationship with this person that's selling the land. And they may have talked over straw. I'm saying straw because it's just like, say they're just talking, they got straw in their mouth. Maybe that was dumb. Anyways, they might be talking over sticks of straw about old Farmer Joe wanting to sell his land, and then when he's asked, hey, what would you be selling your section of land for? And he's like, oh, I don't know, $1 kajillion. And then all the other farmers laugh and they throw the straw out their mouth. That's exactly why he's talking to you and not the other farmers that he knows may potentially be able to work the land. So again, this is only about wanting to make sure that your expectations and your focus is in the right place. Land can be very lucrative, but typically the big plays happen where other plays have already happened. And a lot of time, guys, those pieces of land are traded amongst developers and builders without the help of a wholesaler. Unless you get really, 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 really lucky and you find some landowner that is not aware or hasn't been talking to anybody that's interested in development, and you happen to come across this like amazing deal in the middle of development and you know exactly what to do with it, that might be your home run. And I've done one of those before, so I'm not going to tell you that it's impossible, but I just want you to be realistic when you're dealing with vacant land. So guys, I hope that gave you some value, and maybe if you were sitting there with 160 acres of farmland right now that you've been trying to sell to everybody and no one's calling you back, you might stop. Or if you do have a good piece of land and you're thinking, hey, there's a lot of development nearby, you want to find out about size, you want to find out about density. Hope that helped, guys, and I will see you in the next one. If you got some value from this, do me a favor and leave me a comment, because I read them and we respond to them, and I love it when you do. Take care. See you in the next one.